Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club again, the show that we weren't here for last week.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
We were, well, I wasn't here for, neither of us were here for several weeks, but we had some backlog.
Excuse me, I've been here. You've been gallivanting about the countryside.
But you didn't record any episodes while I was gone this time.
I was busy.
We didn't get any new episodes of Is This Video Games?
I feel like I wore that premise pretty thin the first time I did it. Like, there's only so many ways I can go from there.
Yeah, you need a new show.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear out the bit if I keep going.
Well, we're back. A dinosaur story.
I didn't consent to that.
No? Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Play the theme song!
For We're Back, a dinosaur story?
No! No, for the Tower of... Wait, what's the name of this show?
Tower of Druaga.
Tower of Druaga, the Aegis of Uruk.
I think you should play We're Back, a dinosaur story.
I don't know if that has a theme song.
Da 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 da.
Play the Tower of Druaga theme song.
I've never heard of this series in my life.
The game series or the anime or both?
Both? I feel like you can't hear about one without also therefore knowing of the other.
Well, you might have heard of the game and never known it had an anime.
No.
Did you know this series is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year?
40!
Yeah, right?
What was it doing back in dinosaur times?
This series, so I know like nothing about this series, or I did know nothing about this series before I started researching for this episode, but I knew it was very old, and I knew that it has barely existed outside of Japan. But in Japan, it is like extremely popular and influential.
Okay.
This series inspired Zelda.
Oh.
Yeah, The Legend of Zelda is Miyamoto's take on the Tower of Druaga.
I've never heard of Zelda.
Why do you have to do this on the show?
I don't know, it's compulsive.
Oh, when I lie about The Simpsons, you can't keep a straight face.
But when I lie about everything else...
So what did you think of the theme song?
It's pretty good.
I liked it. It's a ska song.
I don't think that really registered.
No, I wasn't ready to hear ska. I love ska, but like, when do you hear it?
This is the one time where I was like, I'm going to try to pay attention to the actual animation that's going on, because every other time I'm like reading the lyrics and I have no idea what we're talking about.
This was the wrong one to do that in.
I liked the intro just because I was extremely confused.
Yeah, let's talk about that when we start talking about the show because, man, I'm still confused about it.
Yeah, me too.
But I liked the song. I thought it was cute. I'm going to tell you about the game now. Get ready to hear the things I learned this past week.
All right.
So Tower of Druaga was a game by Namco. We know them.
I've met them once before.
It was it was released in 1984 in arcades. It was created by Masanobu Endo, who was known for Xevious. He had just recently made Xevious, which was a huge hit. I've never played it, but I know people like it.
I've heard tell.
So after Xevious was finished, Endo took a business trip to America, where he bought a copy of Dungeons & Dragons and brought it back to Japan and wanted to make a game working in the concepts of it. There are so many games, there's so many Japanese games that are built really heavily off of Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm now wondering if this game is the reason for that.
Maybe.
Like,
as opposed to Dungeons & Dragons itself?
Well, yeah, because he went to America and bought a copy of it and took it back to Japan. Maybe it wasn't out in Japan at the time.
Yeah, true.
So maybe... I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But it's possible that this game's responsible for all of those RPGs. He couldn't
get his hands on a bootleg Dungeon Master's Guide. He had to go all the way to the source.
In pidgin Japanese.
Please, I just need the bestiary.
So the game went through a bunch of different prototypes. At one point, it was going to be a fantasy version of Pac-Man, built on the Super Pac-Man engine. I guess it just would have been like a maze, and you have to fight the monsters in the maze instead of eating the dots.
I guess, yeah.
The final game ended up being built on Mappy hardware. You know about Mappy?
No.
Little policeman mouse?
No.
He's a good boy. I like Mappy. They don't do anything with him, but I like him.
A-cab man.
You know, I can't argue. So yeah, Druaga was a huge success in Japan. Inspired a whole bunch of major series like Zelda. They trialed the game in the US, and it was received extremely poorly, so they didn't release it.
Oh.
And you'll find out why.
Uh-oh.
So the game's got 60 floors. That's 60 stages to get through. The reason they went with 60 is because it was inspired by the Sunshine 60, which was the tallest building in Asia at the time.
What a weird way to pick your dungeon number.
I mean, I guess they were just like, oh, that building's so cool, let's copy it.
That building's so tall. What if we had a really tall dungeon?
Or maybe the thinking was like, well, if we want this dungeon to be impressive, it can't be smaller than the Sunshine 60.
Let's make it the exact same height, so as not to sound boastful.
On each floor, you have to find a key and an exit. And then use the key on the exit.
Yeah.
But each floor also has a secret treasure that is obtained by increasingly esoteric means.
Okay.
Some of these treasures are required to beat the game. Some of them are traps. I wrote down a couple of the examples that I thought were more ridiculous. So on one floor, you have to walk over 2 specific unmarked spots 3 times.
Okay.
And the reward is a potion which is required to unlock the chest on the next floor.
No, sir. No, thank you.
On another floor, you have to tap right 7 times, left once, then right 7 times again. And the reward is a potion that drains your energy.
So there's nothing in game that even like hints at how to unlock these.
Nope.
Oh boy.
The difficulty and the obscurity of these puzzles basically it created this new culture of notebook sharing, which I think is really interesting. So players would get a notebook, they'd write down all the secrets. Yeah, what they'd do is they'd write down all the secrets that they figured out, and then they'd leave it at the arcade machine for other players to read and add their own notes to.
I was literally about to say that I'm kind of glad old school secrets like that are dead, but I have had that realization before too. Like, I've been in forums where people have talked about how they miss it because it was such a culture of sharing information.
Yeah, it's a community. I really like the idea of it. I don't want to play this game.
No.
but the community idea around it, I really like.
Yeah, we become so obsessed with trying to beat everything ourselves that we don't even think about asking other people.
No.
Combining our brains into a big super brain that beats the Tower of Druaga.
And things like this that used to be like local community things are now just, you just go on the internet now the day after release and all the secrets are there.
Yeah. Somebody's already read the code. They know everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's I'm trying to make a game right now, but if I ever finish a game, I would love to have some little secrets in there that like one person finds and then starts sharing. But I do feel like the moment a game's out, someone knows how to hack it and just look at the code and know what all the secrets are.
Right, they data mine it.
Yeah, and I think that's a shame. I think that stinks.
One of the things that I love so much about Rune Factory 4 is that there were a lot of little secret things, and maybe some of them were that esoteric, but a lot of them were hinted at by, like, NPCs if you talk to them in town.
Yeah.
Just cute little things like that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, I think. You need to have a little hint. This game was just so early that there was really no such thing as an NPC yet. I think when because the first Zelda has a lot of puzzles that are really esoteric like this, and I don't like it. But as Zelda went on, I feel like Zelda kind of pioneered the idea of, like, leaving breadcrumbs to the secrets,
Yeah.
Zelda got really good at it. I feel like around Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they had really hit, like, a peak of, like, weird esoteric secrets, but enough breadcrumbs that you can find them.
Yeah.
Then the later Zelda games really kind of, like, hold your hand straight to all the secrets. I guess Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are okay about it. It's really just Skyward Sword, where it's like, point your sword at the secret. Lift your sword and it will beep when you point at the secret.
I'm not saying you're wrong about it, but the amount of beef that you have with Skyward Sword...
you haven't played it, have you?
It's impressive. Mm-mm.
No, you'd understand if you had.
Yeah, I don't have an interest in playing it after hearing all of this.
We're going to have Skyward Sword fans in the comments being like, no, ignore him, it's really good.
Or you could play a good Zelda.
Yeah, play Wind Waker again. You've played Wind Waker, right?
Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Wind Waker.
I thought you had. Anyway. So the story of Tower of Druaga is based loosely on the Sumerian legend of Gilgamesh and the Babylonian Tower of Babel myth.
I knew that's why you were talking about it.
Yeah, that's why I texted you about the Tower of Babel earlier today. And it's got little sprinklings from other mythologies as well. It's just like a big combination of different mythologies from different ancient cultures, basically.
Right. So
the basic plot is that the goddess Ishtar sends Gilgamesh to climb the tower to rescue the priestess key from Druaga's clutches. I got a whole bunch of sequels and spin-offs. There's a direct sequel. You get to the top of the tower in the original game and you rescue Key up there. And then the sequel is about Gil and Key climbing back down the tower.
It's the same game in reverse. The enemies get weaker as you get further.
And then they made a prequel showing how Key came to be captured in the tower. She was sent in by Ishtar to look for a blue crystal rod, which is something that you collect on the way up as Gilgamesh. And then there's another sequel, which is about Gil and Key's journey to deliver that rod somewhere right after they left the tower. So all of these games literally, like, start from the end of each other,
It's just you going up and down the tower forever ad infinitum.
Yeah, well, it might as well be. It's called Tower of Druaga. What else can you do?
I don't know. Maybe there's an inn named the Tower of Druaga and you spend the night there.
Yeah, that'd be good. The whole game is just trying to stay asleep while things are happening in the background.
You get up, you shake your fist at the window, you open it up and yell, "Shut up!" Just a series of mini games like that.
Yeah, it's like a WarioWare. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of spin-offs, including a mystery dungeon game.
I mean, it's only natural.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like a mystery dungeon anyway.
Right.
That one is one of the few Druaga games that actually got localized outside of Japan.
Ooh.
So yeah, and then there's a Game Boy Color one, there's an MMORPG, which is what this show is largely tied into. And there was a mobile game as well, which I think the mobile game was the most recent thing, and that was back in 2011. So it's been a little while since the last Druaga thing came out. So that's the Tower of Druaga. That's the game.
Wow.
Do you want to play it?
Bye. Maybe some of the later entries once they polish some of the bullshit.
I might try and track down the Mystery Dungeon one and give that a shot.
Yeah.
I like Mystery Dungeon. It was on the PS2 apparently.
Oh.
I think it was like right before Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
I do like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon as much as I hate Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon's the only Mystery Dungeon I've played. Unless you count... I mean, you don't because it's not made by the real people, but Racketeer is like basically a Mystery Dungeon game.
Oh, yeah. Mystery Dungeon in style.
Yeah.
I want to play the Chocobo Mystery Dungeon, but I also don't want to spend that much money on it.
Yeah. There was one recently, right? I think it was... I think the last Mystery Dungeon game that came out was actually just like the original. It wasn't a licensed one. It was just like... Mystery Dungeon.
The Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah. I remember seeing a trailer for it. I'm tempted. I like Mystery Dungeon. But
yeah, they're fun.
I just don't know how well I'd got on with it when it's not...
Without licensed characters.
Yeah, if it's not like scratching my itch to collect Pokemon.
If it's not scratching your grounder.
Because that was my whole thing with Mystery Dungeon. It gave me all those friend areas, and it was like, there's just enough space for one of each Pokemon. And I was like, I'm going to fill it with every single one of them. And I think I recruited like 2 Pokemon ever. My whole time playing it. It was really hard to recruit Pokemon.
Yeah, you go into that stupid dungeon and you throw beans at them for 20 minutes just for nobody to join.
Yeah. And then something you didn't even want joins you, and it's like, oh, great.
Right, you kill it just to get it out of the way, and it's like, oh, Jigglypuff wants to join.
Thanks, my third Slowpoke.
Meanwhile, 3 days later, and you still can't get Quilava.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen for me. Anyway... This show, The Tower of Druaga, the Aegis of Uruk. I'd hate the word Aegis.
Why?
It's just, I don't like saying it.
I like it.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's a fun word.
All right, well, you can have it then.
I'll take it.
All right.
And I'll defend myself against all your bullshit.
You can't.
Parry all your dumbness. Pew, pew. Bounce it back like a Ganondorf.
Dumbness tennis now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine. I love playing tennis with Ganondorf, so it's fine.
Except he cheats.
He does cheat. He's really good at the, like, slow ball.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's coming at you fast and you can't swing fast enough.
Yeah. But, you know, you can swing a bottle at it. Do you know that?
No.
You can use a bottle to parry his shots.
Why would you want to?
I don't know. I don't think there's any benefit to it. I think people just do it for style points.
I'm sure.
But yeah.
Maybe it's after you do that exploit where you turn all of your items into fairy jars, so it's the only thing you have.
Yeah, it's in Ocarina of Time, for some reason the only things that repel his his shots are the sword and a bottle. And in, I think, A Link to the Past, it's your sword and the bug net.
Okay.
And I don't know why. Something about the way they're coded. I doubt it was intended, but...
Well, you can't use the megaton hammer because then you'll just squish the energy bolt.
It's true. All right, this show... This show was made by Gonzo, not the Muppet.
Oh.
No, the anime company, who are known for Final Fantasy Unlimited, Full Metal Panic, Afro Samurai Resurrection, among many other things. I mostly know them for doing animated sequences for Grandia, Zone of the Enders 2, and Street Fighter 4.
I've heard of those things.
There's a good games. Actually, I've never played Zone of the Enders 2, but I've had it for about a decade.
That's just as good as playing it.
The show began airing on April 1st, 2008 on Animax. You know, I didn't think about it until right now, but it airing on April 1st might explain some of the content of this episode.
You know? Just maybe, but could they have planned it that far in advance?
I don't
you have
know.
to animate an entire show.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a funny coincidence. This show was available to English audiences immediately with subtitles.
Wow.
Right when it aired in Japan, they also posted it on YouTube, Crunchyroll, and BOST TV. I don't know what that last one is.
Nope.
But YouTube and Crunchyroll I've heard of, and they had subtitled versions immediately. It was one of the first anime to attempt this. I think it's quite common now.
That's wild.
Yeah, they did it to... I read the press release about it when it came out, and it talks about how it's an attempt to combat piracy, because there was a lot of... those of us who were there remember, there was a lot of anime piracy in the 2000s.
Yeah, back before YouTube cared.
And it was largely created by the delay between Japanese and English releases.
Delay, which is sometimes just the zero intention of ever officially subbing something.
I mean, this is a good example because the actual English dub didn't come out until 2 years after the Japanese version, so...
Yeah.
But at least there was those subtitles for all the English-speaking Tower of Druaga fans.
For all the 10 English-speaking Tower of Druaga fans.
Yeah, this series that had, at this point, had only one game released in English, and it was Mystery Dungeon. So yeah, when the show started, the most recent game was Druaga Online, The Story of Aeon, which was an online arcade game, which is a wild idea.
Yeah, how did that work?
I have no idea. I couldn't find much information about it because it was a Japan-only arcade game.
Dang it, Japan!
But it was released in arcades 3 years before the show started. But the show was developed alongside the Tower of Druaga, The Recovery of Babylon, which was an MMORPG released for PC about a year after this show started. Cool. So yeah, that's one of the things I always want to look at when we do these shows. I'm always interested in why the show got made. Because usually these shows are made to promote something, you know, a new game usually, or it's the anniversary. This wasn't either of those. This was made to promote a new game, but that wasn't immediately apparent because the new game came out a year after the show did. But yeah,
but I found people were hype.
Yeah. So I found some press releases and stuff talking about how this was developed alongside the game. I guess the game maybe got delayed or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, the show is written by Shoji Gato, the creator of Full Metal Panic. I always hear about Full Metal Panic. I don't know anything about it.
No, me neither.
I always read Full Metal and then my brain is like, Alchemist?
Right, it's the only Full Metal there is.
Yeah, but apparently there's a panic about it too.
I mean, it's been off the air for a while. Is that what they're upset about?
There's a panic, there's a jacket. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe, when your zipper gets stuck and you've already zipped up the jacket and you can't get it down again?
Yeah, then you get into a
I
full
panic
metal
about
panic.
that a
Yeah,
little bit.
you're right. And then you got to call the alchemist. Can you equivalently exchange my zipper for a working one?
Can you equivalently exchange my zipper for this $20?
Anyway. So the show opens up with a group in a dark maze, and there's bodies and there's food and there's supplies all scattered about with some wreckage of some broken
There's
carts.
slimes drinking blood.
Is it blood? I thought it was blood at first, but then there was like a broken wine bottle in it.
Oh, is it wine?
I think it was wine.
I just like the idea of yeah, it does look like it could be wine, but the idea of a bloodthirsty slime is so good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just kind of like munching indiscriminately, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I did have the same thought.
Indiscriminately on a human.
I was definitely looking out for one of them munching on one of the bodies. But I didn't see it personally. If anybody else sees it, please report it to the authorities.
Well, these slimes are persistent. We see them later. What else do they want if not to nibble upon bodies?
They're good slimes. I like slimes. I'm a connoisseur of slimes.
I like gelatinous cubes.
Oh, yeah?
They eat people.
They do. Well, they dissolve them.
They eat them?
Yeah.
That's how jellyfish eat?
I guess so. These aren't my favorite slimes. That still goes to Dragon Quest slimes, but these are pretty good ones.
Still goes to the gelatinous cube.
Is the gelatinous cube a slime, or is it like a slime subspecies?
That depends on your definition of slime.
Mm.
Is it strictly like an orbular bounce friend, or is it what it's made out of? Because I feel like a gelatinous cube has got to be pretty slimy. Or you get stuck up in that jello.
Sounds like a gelatinous cube is made of gelatin. So there's
Is gelatin not slime?
Oh. Weigh in, everybody.
Because these slimes, they clearly they're a little bit solid. They're not just pure liquid ooze.
You're right. No, we're gonna need people to weigh in on this. I think I'm gonna make that the poll for this episode.
Good.
Is gelatin a slime? Yes or no? So we have a mage here who casts a spell to burn them all away. Burn away all the slimes.
Rude.
It's rude, yeah, it is. It takes a long time before we learn the names of these characters.
It does.
So I researched their voice actors as we learned their names, which is also good because it means they're spread out through the episode.
Yeah.
So one of them, who we will later learn is named Callie, I think, says that he thinks that the slimes didn't do this. He thinks it was done by a Kusarak.
Uh-oh.
So I looked up what a Kusarak was.
Yeah.
And it's an enemy that was introduced in the game that was being developed alongside this.
Oh.
Which means, I guess, that this is the first appearance of Kusarak. So that's neat.
Are they those Minotaur things?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
All the characters in this group seem to be job classes that the character could select in the game. Because the game that was developed with this was the first time that you created your own character and you selected a job class and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out what Callie's class was, but the others are all fairly... I mean, we're straight up told...
We don't get to see him do anything. I imagine he's probably some kind of, thief or light class.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're told that Jill is a guardian, but that's it. And obviously, Fatina, the girl, is the mage. That was pretty clear.
Well, Jill has that big shield, so we do see him guard.
Yeah. Neba is the leader, I guess, because the group turns to him to ask what to do. I assume he's a scout, because that's one of the classes.
Yeah, he's got a bow.
He has a bow, so yeah. Yeah, Callie listens to the ground and says that there are 20 Kusarak heading towards them. And Neba says that they need to fight them, to stand their ground and fight them. Neba is played in Japanese by Takahiro Sakurai, an old friend of ours, who we've seen several
yeah?
times. He was Leon in Danganronpa. He was Lan Di in Shenmue. And he was Tentomon in Digimon. The little bug guy.
Okay.
Every time I remember that he was both Lan Di and Tentomon, I'm like, that's wild.
Yeah, that's quite a range.
He's a good actor. And in English, Neba is played by Travis Willingham, who is known as Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist, Ace in One Piece, Guile in Street Fighter. He played Knuckles from Sonic Colors to Sonic Forces, and he's a recurring cast member on Critical Role, which is probably what he's most well known for now.
Yeah, I could see him being a Knuckles.
Yeah. You approve of that, Knuckles?
I mean, I'm just picturing Knuckles' voice on Neba. Like, yeah, I guess it fits.
We'll see him as Knuckles eventually. He was Knuckles in Sonic Boom. So when we finally look at Sonic Boom, we'll hear this guy.
There's too many Sonics.
I know.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. There's too many Sonics.
I know. You complain every time we go back to a Sonic, but there's just a lot to cover.
I complain every time we go back to a Sonic that isn't Sonic Underground.
That's true. You specifically request Sonic Underground.
No, I don't want to watch Sonic X. I want the bad one.
So we have Jill here. In Japanese, Jill is played by Ken, spelled in all caps with 2 N's.
Whoa!
It's the stage name of Kenichiro Ohashi, whose first ever role was as Judai Yuki, the protagonist of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Cool.
I've never watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but I know what that guy looks like.
Me too.
So that's pretty good. Like, for a first ever role, you're the main character of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Sequel show. That's pretty good going.
Yeah? Were people still watching Yu-Gi-Oh! By the time this one came out, though?
No. I don't know. I think so. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was pretty successful, but I've never heard of it.
No, I don't think he has the heart of the cards.
I only know what the main character looks like. I've never heard of it. He's also the voice of Apollo Justice.
Okay.
And he played Yuta in Prince of Tennis. In English, Jill is played by Todd Haberkorn, who you will probably know as the voice of Kyo in Danganronpa V3.
Which one was Kyo again? There's too many Danganronpa.
I know.
Oh, him. Okay.
He's also the voice of Alan in D. Grey Man. Alan was the main character, I'm pretty sure. He played Death the Kid in Soul Eater. And he's Natsu, the main character of Fairy Tail.
Cool.
So he's a lot of protag voices.
Yeah.
And he's another protagonist here, playing Jill. So the monsters all charge in, and we focus in on Jill, and we see through his armor to see his real face. And then the opening happens.
It's real jarring.
Let's talk about the opening, because I know we don't usually talk a whole lot about the opening sequence, but I was so baffled by this one. And I remain baffled by it.
Yeah, I would like... So the opening is just a completely typical modern day anime.
Yeah, just like a slice of life. Japanese school children going about their lives, getting on the train, running around the neighborhood.
So I'm like, is this an isekai? Is this like a video game within the world?
Yes.
It turns out...
No.
Oh, yes?
I don't know.
I was going to say it turns out it's just kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. Like, what? Why do they do this? I mean, I kind of want to watch the show that this opening is for, but it's not this show.
No, we see our characters in it, but...
It looked like a fun, cute show.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but you know, that's not what this show is. I'm very confused to this day.
Me too, but I enjoyed my confusion.
Oh yeah, it was a fun opening. I really liked it, but that's kind of my issue with it, is that I'm like, I want to watch that show.
I don't want to climb the Tower of Druaga.
Because it did make me think. I spent a lot of this show thinking like, okay, so they're playing the video game, right? So when's the reveal that they're playing the video game? But
yes,
they don't seem to be playing the video game.
It's just completely unrelated.
Because I did start thinking it was going to be like a dot hack thing, and it's like they're playing the video game, and then like we get the reveal that they're playing the video game, but then he gets sucked into it somehow. That's what I was expecting, but nope.
No.
Just
and then we get another jump afterwards.
Yeah. The Kusaraks appear, and Jill just kind of like takes out all 20 of them with one slap of his shield, impressing the party greatly. And then he just starts giving us some exposition. He just starts explaining directly his past to us.
Right. Like, this is the first time we have met this man, and now suddenly he's telling us that he's been ordained as the chosen one.
Yeah, so apparently he tells us that Gilgamesh destroyed the Tower of Druaga 60 years ago, and then it was rebuilt. That's not explained why or how. Doesn't matter. He says armies were dispatched to defeat Druaga, but they all failed. And then one day Ishtar appeared and named Jill the chosen one. Just happens.
Right. You weren't the chosen one, but I've chosen you to be the chosen one.
And then King Gilgamesh, who is now an old man, gives Jill his sword. And then he recruits 4 friends to help him in his quest. And that all just like blows by like a hurricane. Mm-hmm. With no real explanation. Neba apparently didn't accept him as the leader at first and demanded a fight. Jill refused to fight him unless he could defeat Jill in a fight first. And this was the part where I started realizing this was a funny show.
Yes. Because of the bugs fighting simultaneously.
Yeah, and also like Jill, he slices Neba's arrow in 2 and then appears behind him and just punches Neba's clothes off.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, this is a silly show.
And it's not like in one fell swoop. It's like it happens after the fact.
Yeah, he punches him, and then as he's flying through the air, the clothes disintegrate. It's pretty good. And then we get this, like, this sequence about his romance with the unnamed princess. It just kind of, like, blows through.
Yeah. Like, none of it really happens, but we're given some highlights, and then we move on.
Yeah.
And he promises that he'll marry her when he comes back.
Yeah. And then we get what I think was... I don't know if it was my favorite... No, it wasn't my favorite part of the whole episode, but it was the part where I decided I liked this show.
The running gag.
With the Crimson Knight.
With the Crimson Knight and the setup where I'm going back to my hometown to get married.
Yeah. So they come across a knight in the desert, and he introduces himself as the Crimson Knight, Black Knight, and and that made me laugh.
Yeah.
Black Knights apparently are the second type of knight that you encounter in the original game. There are red knights too, but this is definitely a black one.
Yes.
I just love that he's the Crimson Knight, Black Knight. It's so funny. Black Knight is played by Takaya Kuroda, best known as Kiryu in Yakuza. So
Ooh.
I actually recognized his voice, which I rarely do, so...
Now you can imagine that Kiryu's in there.
Yeah. I freaking love Kiryu.
Yeah, I know all about your crush.
In English, the Black Knight is played by Christopher Sabat, who we've talked about before, because he was the voice of Mondo in Danganronpa.
Oh.
So yeah, Utu, who I would guess is the party's berserker, having looked at the list of job titles.
He does have a big axe.
He interrupts for no reason to say that he's going to marry his girlfriend after the adventure, and then just charges at the knight screaming. That really made me laugh too.
It made me laugh, especially when Jill was like, why this all of a sudden?
Yeah. Really good. Utu is played by Hiroki Yasumoto, who's known for playing Yasutora in Bleach, Colonel in Rockman EXE. He was various Misk voices in Higurashi. Like, it was a list of, like, policemen and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's the voice of Guile in Street Fighter 4. He played Terrakion in the Q-Rem Pokemon movie. And this is why butts were in my mind. I knew there was
Butts are always in your mind.
I knew there was some kind of butt thing that I meant to send you or I was going to tell you, and now I realize it's because I wrote it in the notes to tell you now. He's the voice of Hanagashi in Butt Detective.
Butt Detective.
I don't know what Butt Detective is, but I want to.
Is he a detective that is a butt, or is he a detective that finds butts?
Yes, whenever there's a butt, he can detect it.
He is a butt!
Is he? Did you find it?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
Would you like to see the face of Butt Detective?
Why are you asking?
I was already copying the image.
Wait, I have seen this guy before.
Of course you have, because if it comes to butts, you know all about it.
So majestic.
Majestic!
So beautiful. Yeah, look at the brushwork on that.
The brushwork on that fart.
Anyway, Utu in English is played by Kent Williams, who we've talked about before because he played the judge in Ace Attorney.
Good.
Good for him. So yeah, Utu, he charges at the knight and gets stabbed right through, dying immediately. Jill charges his sword up for a very long time.
A very long time.
I love all his party members like pulling their goggles down.
Yeah.
Eventually, he fires a beam at the knight, which defeats him. The knight asks to be finished off, but Jill spares him.
His blade has known sorrow. He can't kill him.
I love the running joke that every time Jill says the Black Knight's name, he gets it wrong.
Yeah.
And every time the Black Knight, like right after he says the wrong name, the Black Knight goes, Black Knight.
Crimson Knight.
It's great. And then 10 years pass. I forgot that 10 years pass, but I've written it in my notes. Yeah, 10 years pass, and now they're at the Tower of Druaga. And this is where we learn the name of Fatina, the mage, because she immediately gets captured by a roper. Which is...
I've seen enough anime to know where that's going.
You know, I had the thought, but it still disappointed me.
When an anime woman gets caught up in vines or tentacles, there's only one way it's going down.
Yeah, and this was really explicit about it too.
Yeah. I mean, it was there to punctuate that Neba is a pervert, but still, we didn't need to see it.
Which is funny, because based on what I've read, that's not even like really a trait of his.
It's just for this.
It's just for this joke.
Yeah. Just for this sequence. Because
it sounds like Neba is actually Fatina's love interest over the course of the series. So, So he didn't even. He could have just asked. But anyway. Because what it sounds like is that she has a crush on him, but we never really find out how he feels about it. I think this makes it pretty clear. He really wants to watch.
Maybe he just plays a lot of tentacle games.
Maybe. Yeah, he's not actually interested in her. It's the tentacles he likes.
It's the tentacles and the non-consent.
Oh, don't say that. Anyway, Fatina is played by Yui Horii, who is Toru in Fruits Basket, the protagonist of Fruits Basket.
Ooh.
She also played the villager character in the Animal Crossing movie. She's Chie in Persona 4. Is 4 the one you played?
Yes.
Do you remember who Chie is?
I do remember Chie.
Okay, cool. I haven't played it yet. She also plays Hitomi in the Dead or Alive series and Hanyu in Higurashi. I don't know who Hanyu is yet. We haven't got that far.
No, I think that doesn't start until Kai.
Ah, okay. In English, Fatina is played by Jamie Marchi, who we've talked about before, because she is Junko in Danganronpa. Lots of Danganronpa cast members in here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. Junko's the one you like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's your style.
She is.
So the team face Quox. Quox isn't really a villain in the games from what I can tell. In the first game, he was split into 3 dragons and turned evil. But in the rest of the series, he's a friendly presence that you can talk to who helps you out. So
that makes it, well, I was going to say that makes a bit more sense in a later sequence when Jill is recalling all of his friends and he thinks of him. But he also thought of the Roper, too.
Yeah, he thought of the Slimes and the Red Knight. And yeah, I don't think it means anything.
They're all rooting for him.
Yeah, Quox is played by Keiko Sakai, who is known for playing Waraji in Naruto. And in English, he's played by Wendy Powell, who was Envy in Full Metal Alchemist.
Cool.
Quox is like barely here, so...
Yeah.
And Quox kills Callie, and this is also where we learn Callie's name.
When it pops up that he's dead.
Yeah. Callie in Japanese is played by Akira Ishida, who played Byakuya in Danganronpa.
I know him.
And in English, he's played by Justin Pate, or Pate, I think it's Pate. He played Kiyoshi in Yu Yu Hakusho, but mostly he is just additional voices for anime. It looks like he is an ADR director and engineer, so if that's true,
cool.
He probably just fills in for characters that don't really need casting. This is where the Black Knight shows back up.
Dark Knight! Black Knight!
Yeah, to repay his debt.
I think the Black Knight is my favorite character in this episode.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he shows up. He says he doesn't want anybody to kill Jill but him. And he's standing on Quox's tail. And he's like, by the way, I want to talk to you after the adventure. I plan to return home and get married. And then he immediately dies.
Yeah.
It really made me laugh.
Yeah, it's a good bit. It gives Jill the power to smite the dragon.
It does. And then Quox drops a key, which I guess is what happens in the game. Go get keys.
I suppose.
There's the subtitle, like as they look up at the sky and see the Black Knight's image in it. There's a subtitle that tells us the Black Knight was 100,065 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know why it tells us that.
For a joke.
And even as he's eulogizing him, Jill gets his name wrong.
Yep. I love that shot of him amongst the stars, though.
It's really good.
We've met this man twice and barely seen him. He gets a bigger send-off than Utu or Callie.
Yeah. Now we meet the 3 Knights of Druaga, of which there are 4. That really made me laugh as well.
Yeah.
They have the Blue Knight, played by Kenichi Sonobe, who we know as the voice of Jelly Jiggler in Bobobo.
Jelly Jiggler!
He also played Bakamon in Digimon. That's the ghost one.
Oh, cool.
Mirror Knight, played by Kimiyoshi Kibe, who has mostly done additional voices in things, but plays Tekka in Naruto Shippuden. We've got Hyper Knight, played by Takaya Kuroda, who also played Black Knight. And we've got Red Knight, played by Seiro Ogino, who, again, mostly does additional voices for things. But he played Yuga in The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. And he plays Giran in My Hero Academia. I can't find English voices for any of these 4 knights.
I was wondering why you were just giving the Japanese cast.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. Wikipedia says that Micah Solusod plays the red one. We've talked about him before because he was Genie in Monster Hunter Stories.
Oh.
But I can't find any other sources that back that up. It's only listed on Wikipedia, but it's not on his Wikipedia page. It's only on the page for the show. He's not listed on IMDb. He's not listed on Behind the Voice Actors. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that's true even. With these guys being here, we've now seen every knight from the original game.
Cool.
That's all 5 of them.
What's the strongest type of knight?
I believe the red one is the strongest one. Or it might be the hyper one. No, I think it's the red one.
That would make sense.
And the weakest one is the blue one. But it doesn't matter because they all die immediately.
Yeah.
Jill just blasts them. And in the process also blasts open a wall with a shortcut to the last floor.
Oh no.
But there's monsters coming from behind them up the stairs.
It's slimes.
It's slimes and it's the Minotaur guys I've forgotten the name of already. Yeah, that's the one.
I don't know.
But I couldn't see them at first because they're so dark.
Yeah.
And they're behind the slimes. So I really did just think it was a bunch of slimes at first.
Just kill the slimes. You've got to be a high enough level by now.
Neba says he's going to stay and hold them off. But Jill knocks him out and leaves him behind.
I was very confused. I was like, if you're just going to leave an unconscious party member, didn't you just leave them to die?
I like that Neba, as he's losing consciousness, he points out that this makes no sense.
Right.
And he's absolutely right. So now Jill and Fatina are alone on the stairs. She says that instead of fighting, they should just run away together. And he asks her to marry him when the fight is over. And we just see the princess that was waiting for him. And the image just shatters. And what does it say in the subtitle? Do you remember?
It says Princess Forgotten or something.
Yeah.
The princess, in parentheses, ancient history.
Yeah. She never even had a name.
Nope. We knew he wasn't coming back.
No. The tone of this whole episode, it was pretty clear that all the princess stuff was just for comedy anyway.
Right. Like this next bit.
Yes, when they reach Druaga himself. And he looks really menacing when he's the only thing we can see.
And then the camera pans out.
It turns out that he's tiny. He's I think he's chest high to Jill.
Yeah. It's probably 2.5 feet tall in a tiny cramped room.
Druaga is played by Joji Nakata, who played Alucard in Hellsing, Giroro in Sergeant Frog. Personally, I know him as the voices of Gamma and Zavok in the Sonic series. He also played Dark Oak in Sonic X. That was the villain of the second series. He was Sojiro in Persona 5. He is Luxord in Kingdom Hearts. And he's Wesker in Resident Evil. So that's lot
some
of
names.
Yeah, those are some really big name characters.
Yeah. Especially
Gamma from Sonic. Everybody knows
the
Gamma.
The biggest name in the
list. In English, Druaga is played by Chris Casson, who plays Shu in Dragon Ball, Gluttony in Full Metal Alchemist, and Tatsu in Xenoblade Chronicles X. And tons of other stuff. I say that like that's all he did. Those are just the ones that stood out to me. As always, that's how I do
That's the case with any of these voice actors. We can't
know.
sit there and name their
I know. I just said it with such finality that I was like, I have to clarify, this isn't everything. Druaga claims to be Jill's father.
Which is obviously just a Star Wars reference.
And then says that after the battle, he plans to get remarried in his hometown.
What could that possibly mean?
It's really funny.
It is. It's a good running gag.
Jill charges up an attack, but Druaga knocks him away. And now, this was my favorite gag in the episode. An innkeeper appears.
Yes!
And he gives the same speech the Black Knight did about how nobody can kill Jill except him. But he's just some innkeeper we've never seen before.
We get one shot of them at a bar together, and that's all we know about this man who has otherwise not showed up in this episode.
And we're given no reason as to why he would want to kill Jill.
He's immediately knocked out.
Yeah, he just dies immediately. Oh, it really got me. It was really
good.
funny.
It's good.
So, in his rage, Jill transforms into some kind of super form, pulls out a legendary squeaky hammer that he apparently got from the king and didn't tell us about.
I love that at this point the animation starts getting cuckoo crazy.
Yes, it starts getting really weird. He crushes Druaga so hard that the tower collapses.
With his squeaky hammer.
But it doesn't seem to do anything, really, because
Druaga's fine.
Yeah, and he just fires a beam at him. And now Jill is falling from the tower, and Ishtar appears to speak to him. Ishtar is played by Rie Tanaka, who played Koyomi in Azumanga Daioh, Morgana in Dot Hack, CL in Mega Man Zero. She was Mars in the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl series. Galactic admin, Mars. Apparently she's the voice of Morrigan from Darkstalkers now, but has only played her in Capcom crossover games, because they haven't made a Darkstalkers in so long.
Right.
And she's the voice of Neptune in Hyperdimension Neptunia.
Huh.
In English, she's played by Stephanie Young, who is the voice of Robin in One Piece, Sylvia Sherwood in Spy X Family. She played Nisha in Borderlands the pre-sequel. That's like the only Borderlands I haven't played, but I'm assuming you remember who Nisha is.
I do remember who Nisha is.
Okay, good.
She's one of the Vault Hunters.
Yeah, I looked up enough to know that much. Because the thing is, like, pretty much all of these actors are in Borderlands. I think Borderlands must get their actors from Funimation.
Yeah.
But mostly they play, like, optional bosses or, like, one-shot characters that nobody remembers.
Right.
So when I saw that this one was an actual player character, I was like, oh, well, this one I'll mention. She also played Nana in My Hero Academia, and she's the voice of Morgan Fay in Ace Attorney.
Ooh.
As he's falling, Ishtar reminds him that his friends are by his side, and he sees them all. He sees all their spirits lining up to support him. I love that he doesn't remember Utu's name.
Yeah, and Utu isn't bothered by it either.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's Utu.
Yeah, it's like, and that guy, I don't remember his name, but he's my friend.
And then the innkeeper and the Black Knight.
Yeah. And all the monsters. And then it just starts filling up with, like, random people we've never seen before. Like, the last one is, like, some kind of witch.
Yeah.
Who's, like, reaching out menacingly towards him.
But they're friends.
So yeah, he defeats Druaga. I don't remember exactly how.
With his super crazy powers, obviously.
But all I remember, I was too focused on the fact that the screen just kind of starts filling up with, like, weird cartoons.
Too focused on the fact that the animation is going crazy, go nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm watching it now.
Okay.
He swings his sword, but the thing about it is that the spirit of all of his friends are hanging on to it.
All right. And can't you, like, see his underwear as he does it, I think?
Why did you note? Oh, yeah! Because some of them are, like, holding on to him.
Yeah, they're, like, pulling his pants down. Yeah, and, like, as he's standing there watching the destruction, some, like, cartoony smiley slimes come out of the tower, and something happens in the top right that I could not pass.
A cow?
Is it a cow?
It looks like a cow to me.
Yeah, I just couldn't, it did look like a cow, but my brain just couldn't quite process it properly for some reason.
Hold Hold on.
Because it's drawn in such a strange way.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a cow, but I would say that it's a cow.
Yeah, what? It's so weird. Yeah, things are just kind of falling apart. But he's avenged the innkeeper, and we see the same kind of image we saw for the Black Knight.
The innkeeper?
Him looking up to the sky and remembering the innkeeper. Not any of his friends who died.
No,
not any of his party members. But the innkeeper. He's killed Druaga, and the only thing he has to say is innkeeper.
Rest in peace, King. But then we find out why this story is so crazy go nuts.
Yes, he wakes up. It's revealed that this was all a dream, and that actually, in reality, he was knocked out by the Kusarak in the cold opening.
Yep.
And he's now being carried to safety by Utu. And everyone else in the party is mad at him for being useless. They're still being chased by the 20 Kusarak that he was supposed to defend them from.
Yep.
And they get cornered against... I guess they get run all the way to the edge of the tower. And they get cornered against a hole that just goes outside.
Well, it wasn't a hole at first.
No, yeah, it was a dead end. And then the charging Kusarak burst through it, is what happened. Yeah. He asks where they are. I feel like he should know that.
Right. Just because he's unconscious doesn't mean he got the brain knocked out of him.
Yeah, he went into the tower with them. The tower, the real tower, which we see for the first time here, looks completely different from the one in his dream.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because, surely he's seen it.
Well, it's a dream. You can't always control it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sometimes you see something, and it's you see a random dog, and you're like, oh, that's the dog that I've known since I was 6 years old, even though it isn't.
Yeah, even though it's a different breed.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. Well, that's the end. It's over.
Yeah.
The ending song is performed by Ken, Jill's voice actor.
Oh.
僕らはただ見上げてるだけじゃない誰もがあの頂を目指すためここへ一人また一人やってくる
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's an unoffensive song.
Yeah.
I wouldn't choose to listen to it again, but I didn't dislike it.
Yeah. It's, like you said, inoffensive.
Yeah. In the ending, the animation over the ending, the only character who's there that we've seen before is Jill.
Yeah, there's all these new people.
But then the next episode preview comes up and it tells us that Jill's going to get fired from this party. So maybe the people in the ending are the new party that he's going to join in the next episode.
Do you think we ever see the original party again?
I already know that we do.
Okay.
Because in the process of looking up who some of these actors were, I saw... But yeah, Neba's party, I don't know about these people, because I didn't look any of them up since they weren't in this episode.
Right.
But I at least know that Neba's party is a party that continues to exist throughout the show. So we will see Utu more. We will see Kali again.
They're not dead.
Fatina, at least, was in the opening as well. So
yeah.
But I noticed the girl who's here in this ending was very prominent in the opening as well. And,
yes, she was.
And she did not appear in this episode, but she appears to be Jin's love interest, based on the opening. Then again, the opening could mean nothing.
Everything is garbage in this episode.
I really liked this. I don't know about you.
I did, but I'm scared. If the episode isn't as funny as the first one.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Yes, I've written that here. Here's what I've written. I have a feeling the comedy won't persist like this when it's no longer a dream.
Right.
So maybe I'll like other episodes less.
Or differently, at least.
Then I don't. We'll see. But I have a feeling that the other episodes aren't going to make me laugh like this one did.
Yeah.
This one was
I think
so
they're going to be a little bit more serious.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. I have my hopes. We obviously have to watch this show again since we didn't see who any of those characters in the ending were.
Right.
So we'll get to find out.
So at the very end, when it's like the episode preview, I'm assuming that is essentially a screenshot from the game.
Yes, that's what the maze floors look like in the game.
Yeah.
You can eventually get a weapon that lets you destroy some of the walls of the maze so you can break through.
Ooh.
But I think, okay, this is from memory now, so apologies if I'm wrong about this. I believe it's a pickaxe you get. When you first get it, you can use it twice on each floor. But if you use it more than twice, you lose it forever.
Oh.
The use is reset each floor, but if you use it more than twice on a floor, it's gone forever. And if you lose it, then you cannot get the upgraded version, which is required to beat the game.
Of course it is.
So,
has anyone ever actually beaten the Tower of Druaga?
Yes, I watched somebody beat it. But it was what you should see the last stage. It's so there's a bunch of tunnels and you have to go down them in specifically the right order and place the right items in exactly the right spots.
No.
And this is after you've beaten the final boss.
No. You can soft lock yourself out of the ending.
Yeah, you can beat Druaga and still fail the game.
No.
And there are certain points in the tower where you can get sent back to an earlier floor and lose certain items which are required to beat the game, so the game becomes unbeatable.
The more you talk about this game, the more I wonder why it exists.
It exists to take quarters.
The quarter eater.
Except it never came out in America, so it never got any quarters, I guess. I don't know. What's the Japanese equivalent of a quarter in an arcade game? I don't know what they cost.
I don't know.
I wonder if you had to buy tokens. I know that's pretty common in Japan. You go to those.
I forgot tokens exist.
Yeah, you go to those. I've had the token experience in London at that that Bandai Namco Gashapon place.
I think we've all been to Chuck E. Cheese.
I haven't.
Do they have them over there?
No. I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese.
He's called Charles Cheddar.
You're dumb.
You're jealous of my big dumb brain.
And I'm jealous of your Chuck E. Cheese. When are you going to take me to Chuck E. Cheese for my birthday?
When you get all A's on your report card.
I got all ass.
Only smart boys go to Chuck E. Cheese.
That's not true. I've seen videos. Only gross, messy boys go to Chuck E. Cheese.
You're right. You're perfect for the job.
Yeah, I'm going to get my fingers all over that cheese and then get that cheese all over those arcade machines.
Stick your hand directly into your mouth and then onto the joystick.
Yeah, put my hand directly into my mouth, but it comes out with more cheese than it went in with.
Well, see, you keep your tokens in your mouth, so you have to reach in to get them out.
Pizza. Anyway, that's everything I have to say about the English version. But here's some things to say about the dub.
Oh.
They didn't change the theme song, so I'm not going to play another theme song here. It was dubbed by Funimation, who we've talked about plenty in the past. Mm-hmm. The first episode, well, I guess the whole show. They aired this episode on the Funimation channel, which I didn't know existed.
Me neither.
It was a cable channel, apparently. And they aired it on December 8th, 2010. So, a good couple years after the Japanese version came out. I personally don't like Jill's English voice. I find it kind of annoying to listen to. It's very nasal.
60 years after it was destroyed by the hero Gilgamesh, the Tower of Druaga stood once again and cast its ominous shadow.
It's high-pitched and nasal. They changed the Black Knight's title when he introduces himself. Instead of saying, I'm the Crimson Knight, the Black Knight, he says, I'm the Scarlet Rider, the Black Knight. I don't know why they changed that. It's way less funny, right?
I guess because it is less funny. It's easier to follow. Because, like, when the other knights are introducing themselves, and there's, like, the Azure Knight's like, I'm the Azure Knight, the Blue Knight. At first I was like, I'm sorry, did I just have a stroke?
Yeah, when the other knights did it, it was definitely not as fun. I think the joke when the other knights do it, though, is that the red one is also the Crimson Knight.
Yeah.
So it's like, was the Black Knight actually the Crimson Knight, or did he get it wrong? But yeah, it's less fun. You know, Scarlet Rider sounds more reasonable as what could be his name.
We're not looking for reason in this.
No, it wasn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be nonsense. That's the point. It's funny. In the Japanese version, when Utu died, Jill said he was going to go home and open a bakery, which isn't what Utu said at all, which is the joke. In the dub, he says Utu was going to go home and get married and be a baker. So, like, it's sort of the same joke, but them adding the thing that Utu actually said to it makes it less funny to me.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of just run it into the ground.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of these things, I feel like it's almost like the translators thought these things were mistakes that they were fixing. It's like...
as opposed to jokes.
Yeah, as opposed to jokes. It's like they looked at it and they were like, well, that's not what Utu said. We should add in the thing that Utu actually said. But the point is that that's not what Utu said.
Right.
That's what the joke was. So, I don't know. The Roper scene is left untouched, but there's the shot afterwards where they're walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
In the Japanese version, Jill just says, wow, that was a close one. And then Fatina says, it was fine. Something like that. In the English version, they've changed that to Jill apologizing to Fatina for not helping her sooner. And then she says she's used to it. Which, that's a neutral change as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
It might be a positive change because they've added a joke there that I think is kind of funny. But I can see why they wanted to have Jill apologize.
Right, for letting that carry on so long.
Yeah, because the Japanese version just kind of glosses over it.
Yeah, we're all supposed to be enjoying it.
Yeah. Most of the other changes I feel negatively about, but that one I'm just like neutral on. That one might even be better, I think. And that's it. There was nothing else that jumped out at me.
All right.
Aside from that, it's just an accurate translation. I have the problem I always have with dubs where, a lot of the acting is less natural because the actors are rushing through their lines.
You're not a hero yet, kid. You're just a poser with a hero sword, and I don't bow down before phonies like you.
Right.
But I will say I really liked the whole Black Knight scene. Black Knight's acting is like so good in the English version. He's really funny, the way he reacts to things. Mm-hmm. There was actually a joke that I didn't register in the Japanese version. It's still there, but I didn't register it as much because of the delivery. But the delivery was funnier in the English version, and that's when Black Knight first introduces himself and like threatens them.
You and your friends turn around and go home or prepare to die!
What? What did he say?
You couldn't hear me?
No, I heard you.
Oh, yeah.
Which sold it better, I thought.
Yeah. But what of the legacy?
Oh, I was hoping you'd ask.
I'm begging.
I'm unclear because I'm not sure exactly which was conceived first because the show and the game were developed together. But the show came out a year earlier. So you could say that it was legacy of the show. But the monster designs, the job system, and the design of the tower itself were all seen again in the Tower of Druaga, The Recovery of Babalim in 2009.
Ooh.
It's hard to find out much information about that game now, though. I was able to figure out that much by, like, scrounging around for what screenshots are still online.
Right.
But the game was never released outside Japan, and its servers were shut down in 2016, so the information that exists about it is sparse, at least on the English-speaking internet.
Sad.
Yeah, lost media. I don't know, maybe there's fan servers up. I hope so. Whenever a game gets shut down, I always hope that fans are able to continue maintaining servers for it.
Even if it's only like 100 people globally, it's better than being lost forever.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple games with shutdown servers that have fan ones up now that I wanna go and play again because I loved them, like City of Villains.
Because you're sick in the head.
I'm gonna make you play Phantasy Star Online with me.
We'll see.
It's one of my favorite online games, and now that I know that you can play it again, I'm so excited. All right, well, I guess that's the end of this situation.
What Tower of Druaga class would you be?
Ooh, shall I find the class list?
Yeah.
So there's 4 overarching classes, and then those each one splits into 2 like
subclasses,
and then
like specialized classes.
Yeah, and then each of those has like an evolved version of itself. I would probably go rogue. I tend to go with rogues.
That does sound like something that you always do.
I like rogues. What about you?
I usually do also roll rogue, but like lately I've just been on a big magic kick. I would either go archmage or illusionist.
Yeah, I was gonna say illusionist for you. That's where I would peg you, personally.
I would probably do illusionist, yeah.
Yeah, enchanter.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, looking at this list, I'm gonna say I think that Neba is probably a ranger.
Yeah. And then Keely's the rogue. Callie, whatever his name is.
Callie, yeah, probably. I don't think they had a druid.
No.
I think they had 2 soldiers, 2 scouts, and a mage.
Unless Callie was a druid, but he didn't really look like a druid.
And he didn't really do anything.
Yeah, but that could be true of any class.
That's true. He put his ear to the ground and he heard the amount of enemies that were coming. That feels more scout to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him being a rogue. He just didn't have any good times to do a backstrike.
No. He didn't have any time to do anything before he was burned to death.
Well, I think that's it.
We've done it.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Sorry for being so aggressive about that.
Don't be sorry. Be aggressive with your love.
Please like and follow and subscribe and whatever else that you do in the things that the internet provides now.
Comment and share.
Comment, share, vote in the poll. I can't remember what I said the poll was going to be.
It's about slimes.
It's about slimes. Yes.
It's about slime.
Is gelatin a slime? Let me know.
Are gelatinous cubes members of the slime family?
Is my strawberry
in the slime
jello
extended tree
a slime?
You can make the slime in lo-fi sessions a strawberry.
Oh my god. I have to get that.
You just want to eat my slime.
Yes.
And I don't appreciate it.
I would eat your slime every day if you'd let me.
I won't. That's the problem.
What's it called?
Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions.
There's so many games with lo-fi in the title right now.
I know.
If you'd like to support this madness, please go to patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub and check out our wares. You could join our current patrons, Mark Kelly and Jamie Core, who we love dearly.
Whoa. Those guys are still there and chilling.
Thanks, friends.
Thanks for chilling in our chill zone.
Yeah, in our chillpocalypse.
That's not what it is.
It could be.
Is that a threat or a promise?
You don't know.
That's up to you to decide.
Coffee.com/Super Breakfast Friends Club. I'm trying to get some stickers made, but I need some money.
Patreon.com. It's just an Ouroboros.
Come to check me out. I'm Skull Pirate Mike. I'm on the internet and I do things. I'm streaming all the Rare games on Rare Replay right now. I'm like halfway through the NES ones at the moment. The Spectrum ones were really hard, and I experienced many pains, but I did it. I'll be at a convention today, I guess, when this goes out.
Ooh.
If you happen to be in Dundee today, and you're listening to this on release day, come on by Acme Comic Con. You could buy some of my comics that I make with my bare hands. Well,
you should probably definitely post about that in advance.
Yes, I'm going to.
Okay.
I just have to draw a little skeleton on the map to show which table is mine.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we need to say?
I think we've done enough damage for one day.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night. I guess the show goes out at like 5 a.m, so if somebody's going to bed, they're probably Japanese.
Yeah, but it's still nice to say goodnight. You know, people don't always listen immediately people rarely listen immediately when the show comes
people always listen the second the show drops.
Yeah.
They're up at 4 a.m. listening to our bullshit.
You only count the views that come the moment the show drops. That's why you always think we're doing so badly.
No, I think we're doing so badly because we're doing badly.
Thanks, everybody.